Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back on my series on stories from the Puranas again. And today we'll be talking about a very interesting story coming directly from the Puranas about the double-tongued snakes. And this story has reference to my earlier video where we discussed who was the great sage Astik, where did he come from, and how he could save the snakes from destruction, which were being destroyed by the sacrificial fire performed by the king Janamejaya. So as we know, as we discussed in our earlier video, that sage Kashyapa had two wives. One wife was Kadru, the other wife was Vinita. Kadru was the mother of the snakes, and Vinita was the mother of Garuda. Garuda is a huge eagle who is considered to be the vehicle of Lord Vishnu. And of course we know that Garuda does not like the snakes. So here is sage Kashyapa, who had two wives, and one was the mother of Garuda, who is the enemy of the snakes, and the other wife was the mother of the snakes. And the story goes that once the two wives of Kashyapa, or once the two wives of sage Kashyapa got into an argument, that what is the color of the horse which is drawing the chart of the planet Sun. And Vinita said very correctly that the horses were white. And we all know that the horses who drive the chart of the god Sun or the planet Sun are white in color, but Kadru insisted that they are black in color, and they got into an argument, and they got into a wager or a bet, saying that whoever loses will become the slave of the other for the rest of their lives. So Kadru played a trick. She called on her sons, who are the snakes, to go and cover the bodies of the snakes, the body of the horse rather, with themselves, the snakes, which are the sons of Kadru. And we know that the snakes were black in color, so that they could appear, the horses could appear black in color, and she could win the bet. So out of her sons, who are the snakes, some sons, including Vasuki, did not agree to their mother's request because they thought it was not right, it was not proper to play a trick like this. And these snakes, including the snake Vasuki, once they rejected the mother's proposal or the request, they were cursed by the mother Kadru that they would go and get burnt in the sacrificial fire which was destroying the snakes. And this fire ritual was being performed by King Janamejaya. We have discussed that in our earlier video. And the other snakes, or the other sons of Kadru, agreed to Kadru's request. They covered their bodies on the white horses, and so that the horses appeared black in color. And this way Kadru won the bet from Vinita, the other wife of Kashyapa, and Vinita had to become a slave of Kadru as per the bet for the rest of her life. So this is how the story begins. And then Garuda, who was Vinita's son, who was a very powerful eagle and an enemy of the snakes, was passing that way, and he saw his mother very distressed, and he asked her, "Oh mother, why do you look so sorry? It seems that you are weeping." And Aruna, the charioteer of the sun, the sun god had a charioteer whose name is Aruna, and Aruna is also another son of Vinita. So Garuda said that me and Aruna, your both sons, are not happy to see you in this condition, and as long as we are living, both of your sons are living, we wouldn't want you to suffer any kind of a pain. So please provide us the cause of your grief, and we will remove it at once. At least I will remove it at once. That's what Garuda said, Vinita's son. And then Vinita explained him that this is the reason why she was very unhappy, because she lost this bet to to the other wife of sage Kashyapa, or the rival wife as she called her, and she explained him that she defeated me in this bet, and now I have to become a slave of her for the rest of my life, and I have to carry her on my back, on my shoulders, wherever she wishes to go. So you don't need to be sorry, you know. I just lost this bet and I'm very unhappy. It's my fault, and now I have to carry her on my back wherever she wishes to go, and I'll have to stay as a slave of her for the rest of my life. So Vanita explained her story to her son Garuda, that she has to stay as a slave to her other rival wife, or the rival wife of sage Kashyapa, Kadru, for the rest of her life. So Garuda said, okay, don't worry mom, I will take care of this. I have to free you from this kind of a slavery. So he went to Kadru and said, don't worry, I will carry you on my back instead of my mother. And then he requested Kadru that, Kadru, you know, I respect you a lot, but tell me something, how can I free my mother of this kind of a slavery which, you know, you won from her? So on this, Kadru thought about it, and Kadru said, okay, there's only one way that your mother's slavery can, or your mother can be released from this slavery. And Garuda asked why and how. So Kadru said, okay, in case you can go to the Devaloka, which is the heavens, and if you can get the nectar of immortality, which is called Amrita in Sanskrit, for our sons, or for my sons rather, which is the snakes, then I will release your mother from this slavery. So she knew that Garuda was extremely powerful. He had the power to go to the Devaloka, or the heavens, and get the nectar of immortality, which would make her sons immortal. And she wanted that for her sons. So she requested, or she made a condition rather, to Garuda that as long as you can bring that nectar of immortality for my sons, I'm going to release your mother from this slavery which she lost from me through that bet, or the wager which we had. So Garuda agreed. He went to the abode of Lord Indra. Lord Indra is the god of the heavens, and he fought hard, and he forcefully took the jar of that nectar of immortality and brought it and gave it to Kadru, and he could free his mother Vanita from the slavery of Kadru this way. But in the meanwhile, the snakes took that jar of, or the snakes who were actually the sons of Kadru, took that jar of that nectar of immortality, and they took that jar and kept it along the banks of the river, or the bank of that river where they went for the bath, and they thought they'll just go take a quick bath and they will come back and have that nectar of immortality. And in the meanwhile, Lord Indra, who was the king of heavens, he came to know that, you know, he's lost that jar of the nectar of immortality, and he didn't want the snakes to have it. So he somehow came to know that the snakes have gone to take their bath, and once they come back, they will have that nectar of immortality and become immortal. So he went quietly, and he stole that jar away, which contained the nectar. And the snakes, when they returned from their bath, they found that there was no jar of that nectar of immortality. So they thought, what should they do? So they began to lick the grass. It was the kusa grass. There was a special kind of a grass which had very sharp blades. So they began to lick the kusa grass over which the jar of nectar was placed, thinking that, well, the jar is gone now, but in case a few drops have fallen on that jar, on the grass, on the kusa grass, they would somehow lick it and become immortal. But what happened was that the sharp edges of the kusa grass cut their tongues into two, and this way the snakes' tongues were cut into two, and they started to be called as Dvijiva. Dvijiva is a Sanskrit word for two-tongued. So that's how the two-tongued snakes came into existence. This is a story which is coming directly from the Puranas. Please have firm faith and belief in it. And this is the story how the two-tongued snakes came into existence. And this story did discuss how that wager was lost by Vinita from Kadru. She became a slave, how she was released by Garuda, her son, from that slavery of Kadru, that other wife who tricked Vanita into winning that wager and bet. So hopefully you enjoyed it. In the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology or stories from the Puranas in my next session very soon. Goodbye.